Thank you so much. I'm here with Talia today. Thank you so much for joining me on the Zoom call. And we're here to talk about opening new doors, which I'm really excited about. Talia, could you tell me about this organization?
Sure. Thank you for having me, by the way. I really appreciate this time. So Opening New Doors Foundation, the full name is Opening New Doors Foundation, Inc., and we are a grassroots nonprofit organization located in Upper Montgomery County, Maryland. And basically what we do is everything domestic violence is how I like to put it. So we are comprehensive domestic violence services, which include we do counseling, case management. We actually are just literally today we are starting off our first transitional house. So I have the first person going to be moving in within the next few days, which is very exciting because we've been at this for 4 years trying to get all the logistics coordinated, and finally we can. So now we include the housing, groups. We do a lot of virtual work, nothing new with COVID. So individual case and figure out what services they need, work with them individually. And we are survivor founded, run, and our therapists are also survivors. So we all kind of get it, and it's we understand the dynamics involved, and all trauma trained therapists. We really the goal that we have in providing services for domestic violence survivors is to kind of break down some of the barriers that a lot of organizations, because mostly of funding reasons, mostly the borders that confine a lot of organizations, we try and kind of break those down. So first of all, I personally speak Spanish, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been in this field for many years. And then we have a second Spanish-speaking therapist who also does child therapy, and we're all three of us, the two therapists and myself, have spent a lot of time with trauma work and domestic violence dynamics itself. So there's so much to talk about, and I won't take your time with everything, but just to give you an overall idea, I think I just wanted to kind of share that clinical side of it to make sense of.
Good. That was definitely a question that I had. And then so I don't mean that you solely focus on the Hispanic community.
No, I get it.
You offer a service that many others don't provide to really help that community in need get the same services that any of us have.
Okay, so in terms of when I said breaking down some of the barriers, so there's the language barrier. We've also kind of started specializing a little bit in terms of accessibility. So I have a number of disabled survivors, which is also more and more becoming a bigger problem because a lot less shelter space, a lot less housing out there for to make accommodations and really understand. I have had one survivor who has educated me to up to here on all those things that we never think about, just the faucet, how the faucet, a doorway, these things that I never would have thought about. And so now we really try and help with some of that. And then the other piece, homelessness. So this is another thing that really has, for far too long when it comes to domestic violence survivors, has been completely disregarded. So we're really trying to fill in gaps is the point. And so, like you were saying, Hispanic population, disabled population, homeless population that are specifically domestic violence survivors, you can individually find an agency that provides regular counseling for Hispanic population, even in Spanish, but are they specializing in trauma and domestic violence? Usually not. Or homelessness. You can find a homeless shelter for a woman or for a family, but will they actually work on the reason that they became homeless? Not usually. And we know that if you're looking at the numbers, statistically, so many of the women in the homeless shelters or family shelters are because of domestic violence. So, that then we're not trying to step on anyone's toes. This is, unfortunately, it honestly, because of such a lack of funding out there for domestic violence services, we're together.
And that's because there's only so many grants. Is it grants from the state or grants, from federal and exactly. Everyone needs that.
Yes, and so yes, I mean, the benefit is that over the past few years, there really has been kind of an explosion of a focus on domestic violence, a focus on women's issues, although that's a whole other ballgame. I call it women's issues, but it's not really all women's issues, it's also men's issues. But this is, just saying that there's been this focus the past few years where more foundations are donating for this cause, and homelessness. There's just all these different angles to come in at it, but the funding itself, especially now with COVID, I suspect a huge drop in resources. So,
and even harder since everyone is home to get out and help and volunteer.
It's horrible. Yeah, this is a really bad time and especially bad because the resources that are in existence, like a DV shelter, domestic violence, the domestic violence shelter, they get so full, and then the ones that are finally ready to leave, or if there has been an explosion in a physical situation, and they need to leave immediately, so many of these shelters are now full, and it kind of takes away that opportunity because you really can't just go anywhere anymore. You can't just, stay over
even
here.
to maybe a friend's house because of the COVID situation. And then I'm sure they're at limited capacity like everything else. So they're also cutting out a huge percentage of bodies that could be there getting help.
Absolutely. Yep.
Not to mention, it seems more like those shelters and those things in place are reactive, and yours is more proactive to help end the cycle.
Right.
Instead of just get them food, get them shelter.
Right. We'll put a roof over your head. Here you go. Now let's get you out the door and move on. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot of really necessary points about the shelter, but we really would give people that after, we want to get that after they're in the shelter, all that work that we need to do to help get them to be successful so that they don't have to end up in a woman's shelter.
Right.
It really is
rehabilitation.
Absolutely. And that's really, in my opinion, the missing piece. I've worked with a number of the women that are now, I've worked with some women that have been through the shelter system. And really, just when you watch the day-to-day dynamics, it's just, there's no mention of treatment. There's no mention of conversations about what brought them out into homelessness. It's really, yes, at intake, they might address those things. But then when they're there, it's really just housing.
Information doesn't go anywhere.
Nothing. No. There's a real necessity. The downfall of shelters when it comes to domestic violence is that because of the numbers and the needed space, and completely logical, but again, the whole system itself is illogical because there is this criteria for domestic violence shelters that in order for women to be able to stay there, they really have to be in physical danger or really, really fearing for their life. The reality is we know that you don't necessarily have to be in a physically abusive situation for you to decide to leave, and suddenly just the floodgates open, and now you're in danger. And we've seen, time and time again on media about women trying to leave and violence that ensues afterwards. It's scary, and it's a scary time. But because of that, a lot of the women out there that want to leave are able to leave because they have options. They just need a place to be temporarily, are not necessarily able to start off at the domestic violence shelter. So,
right.
And, there's been so many years of inaction in this area, and we need to do something. So,
well, thank you, Talia. You're a pioneer and a warrior, and this is just an amazing addition to Montgomery County in a much needed area of help and progress as humans, right? So progress as a society, which is, what we really need right now. And then I'm sure COVID doesn't help with situations where you're stuck home with your abuser, children, or, and men too, sometimes can be in abusive situations. They don't get that break. They don't, there's a lot of emotions running high right now. And it just seems to me that this is just that much more important during a pandemic like this. So
I just wanted to say in terms of location, because you said Montgomery County, and absolutely, what we call Mount Airy, like we're not far from there.
That's
So
where our office is.
I
So,
know, and that's why I wanted to say that, because we
yeah,
are happy to work with. I personally love Mount Airy. I go there all the
oh
time.
yeah, me too.
And you know, we have some wonderful supporters out there. We have Mount Airy Net and a few other organizations that support us and help us. And I'm really, you know, initially when I started this, my initial plan was actually I was hoping to actually have us in Mount Airy so that we could really affect change in the 4 counties.
Mhm.
I wasn't really able to find an actual station, really.
Yeah.
But it is really important to me, and you know, if you know anyone, if your viewers are watching this and know someone, if anyone needs help, like I said, we do a lot of virtual, and I'm very familiar with Mount Airy. I've dealt with the council, Mount Airy County City Council, you know, so I'm very involved with Mount Airy, so please let people know they're welcome to reach out to me as well. I'm definitely hoping to get our feet on the ground here physically with you know, the housing and everything we're going to do in this area, but I definitely am hoping to reach people in Mount Airy as well. So
Fantastic for Maryland Sunrooms to allow me to add this part to my job and learn more about the wonderful organizations in our area is just amazing. And I always want to give a special thanks to Mike and Anita Fraley. They're the owners of Maryland Sunrooms. Zooms, they the contest, and our followers are able to comment their favorite nonprofit. I was so excited to see your name, especially in the Mount Airy, you know, Damascus area,
yes.
because that's so close to home. That's right at our showroom. That's right where we need it.
Right.
And you know, and this is the first one I've heard of. Are you the first one in? I thought you had said that you were like the first one. This was a needed area to have an
Well,
organization.
we wanted to affect change in Upper Montgomery because we are completely the forgotten stepchildren of Montgomery County over here. There's very few resources up this way, and you know, we really, you know, we try and we're trying to be very flexible with our boundaries when it comes to, you know, if I have a single mom who may have been out of an abusive relationship for some time and now they need some social service help, I'm not saying we can't help them. So it doesn't have to be a recent situation. We really want to make change throughout Upper Montgomery County and surrounding areas. And there is nothing else. No, there's nothing else. And in fact, like I said, as far as I know, and from speaking with county council members and with speaking with some of the local domestic violence organizations in Rockville, from what I understand, I don't believe that there are other domestic violence transitional housing programs in Montgomery County. But again, time to time, I have someone tell me, I know of this other place in Bethesda.
Right, because of the nature of it.
Upper. But so as far as I know, I don't believe that there is anything anywhere near Rockville and up Montgomery County.
So if someone either knows someone or needs your services, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So the best way is by text message. So that's the preferred method. If you need to call, you can call that same number as the text message, which is 240-317-7990. Like I said, text message is the quickest way because we are not 24/7 staffed. And we really, really don't like to necessarily call back if we miss your call because of the safety involved.
Right.
And if you do decide you want to call and you're in an abusive relationship and you want to call, please do leave a voice message and just tell us, please don't call me back, or please call me back if you can at this time, or it's okay to text me back, or whatever. Leave it in your message because we don't generally call back if we've missed your call, which is why I say please text, and then you can just let us know. Our website, there's also, you know, there's information about us for anyone who's interested, which is www.openingnewdoors with an S at the end.org.
Facebook, how about your Facebook? Mm-hmm.
Yep, we're on
What is your Facebook page?
Opening New Doors MD. And just trying to think if I'm missing anything. And email, if anyone has interest in being involved in some way. Let me just talk briefly. I promise I'll be quick on this.
Yeah, volunteer. Sure. Yeah, that was my next question.
So we do so many different things. You know, we have our hand in every single pot at this point. And during this pandemic, it was beautiful. I had 65 people reach out to volunteer and was coming with incredible backgrounds, which is so nice. And so I didn't want to let anyone go, but you know, we're also very small, so we have to be a little bit selective. So I do ask, if you have an interest in volunteering, please send me your resume. Please send me a paragraph. If you don't have a resume, I don't care about it being formal. I just want to understand your background and, you know, what your skills are, what your strengths, what your interests are. And so if you can send that in an email, that would be ideal. You know, and there's so many, I try and match people up with what their skills and interests are, because there's, you know, I've had people from federal government who have offered to come and sort clothes. I'm like, no, I need your help with like the strategic stuff. You come with a background. I need you to help me with that. And then if someone comes to me and they said, I want to help, I don't know how, great. I have, you know, something for everything, but I really, you know, I want to work with people's strengths to get the most use for their time and for helping us. So.
Right. And then of course, donations. Donations can be given on your Facebook or just
Facebook website. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to send something directly. If you,
anyway.
Let me tell the one thing about donating stuff. We have so much stuff, and I hate turning people down. So please feel free to check that.
Fantastic. Well, my goodness. Thank you, Talia. This is the most important conversation I think I've had doing these donations and discussions.
Well, anytime, and anyone is welcome to pick my brain or give me your suggestions or partner with me in any way. And that's the other thing. If anyone has a service-based business that is interested in giving back or assisting in some way, please. Like, one of the things that we are actually looking for now is some car places that can either help with mechanical stuff or sales. Just anyone that can work with us from the dynamics that we're dealing with. There's no one that can't be helpful. That's my point. Thank you so much for your time. I know I've talked your ear off, and I apologize.
No, all important things. I'm going to make sure, like, everybody watch this one. This is the important one.
And I am happy. So if I can talk, you know, if anyone who watches this is interested in me speaking at anything or having, you know, if you have a group of some people that you think it would be helpful to just raise awareness or education or understanding domestic violence, I'm all for it. So anything. October, just to let everyone know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So if you want to just check out our page, then we're hoping to put together some sort of fundraiser of some sort. We haven't finalized all the details yet, but check back in and hopefully you can join us, or you know,
we're happy to join, sponsor, and also share and help share that content and information to our followers as well. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for today, Talia.
Much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.